Hey guys, and welcome back to a new video. So in the last episode we worked in the Range Rover. We installed a bigger turbo in the car, and well, a few months after that the gearbox broke and the car left me stranded. So I will link up the video up here so you can see the turbo install. And because we need a tow car for the drift car and everything, I bought this. This is a 2008 BMW E91 with a M57 3.0 diesel engine, and it's an M57n2. And according to my plans, this engine will swap easily into the Range Rover. And compared to the ZF 6-speed transmission, the Range Rover should be the perfect tow rig. Okay guys, now you might ask, why would you swap this M57, which is completely fine, for another M57? And the answer is quite simple. The newer style M57, also called M57n2, is an aluminium block engine, and it comes equipped with an electric controlled Pt.1 60V turbocharger. That's the exact same turbocharger that we put in this engine, but in this engine is vacuum controlled. And it also comes with a better high pressure fuel pump, and it also has piezo injectors. And just with an intercooler upgrade, we can get the newer style M57 to around 320 horsepower and 650 newton meters, which should be perfect for the Range Rover, especially when we put also the ZF 6-speed transmission on the car, and then the car should be completely re-transformed. But we have a big problem with this car. This car was badly damaged in an accident, as you guys can see here. And now we need to check which parts of the engine are good and still usable, and which parts we need to replace. So because of the accident, obviously a few parts of the engine are damaged. So the whole turbo, the compression side is gone. The vacuum pump is dented over here. The whole EGR cooler is bent, and the valve cover is also broken, and a few parts are missing, like the MAF sensor and the intercooler and stuff. But we got this car for only 400 euros, and if the engine is good, that's a pretty good deal. But we will find out. Now we're gonna pull the engine and see. Also, the whole engine is shifted backwards because the subframe broke down here. You can see it right here. The whole subframe ripped off. The engine mounts are still good on the other side as well, but we're gonna have a few problems because the whole engine is touching the firewall, and we will see if we can get it out easily. Yeah. So then we went straight to work and undid all the lines and the drive shaft bolts and removed all the wiring loom, and then the engine already was ready to come out, and it came out surprisingly easy. We didn't had any issues with that the engine was shifted backwards, so we just unbolted the engine and it just came out. Here we just forgot to undo the shifter cable, so I went under the car and unbolted the shifter cable. Then the engine was free and we had no problems at all to pulling it out. And yeah, so that's it. The engine is out, and now it's ready to get into the Range Rover. So last time we removed the engine out of the E91 from the donor car, and today we are removing the engine from the Land Rover. We already started to disassemble the whole front end. I will show you in a sec. So we removed the whole front end, and now it's time to pull the engine out. We already removed the gearbox and the transfer case, and now we just need to do some small things like undo these coolant hoses from the heater core, this vacuum line for the brake booster, and then the engine is already ready to come out. And then we need to swap some parts from the old engine to the new one, because the new engine didn't come with power steering. I mean, in the E91 it has electrical power steering, and here we have like hydraulic power steering, and that's why the belts are running different on the new engine, and that's why we need to swap some parts over from the old one. And then we are already ready to pull the new to put the new engine in. Well, on this car it was a bit harder to pull the engine because there is a front axle running through the oil pan. So before we can pull the engine, we need to remove the axles, and the differential is bolted onto the oil pan, the front differential, and that differential can stay on there, so you can pull the engine with the whole differential. And yeah, so after I undid all the lines that were left, like the fuel lines and the coolant lines, the engine was also ready to pull out, and here we got it out. It was, after we removed the axles, it was pretty easy to pull it out. After we had both engines out, we gave them a wash. Typical M57 things, they're really dirty and covered in oil, so we cleaned both engines. Alright, now we have both engines out. This is the old one, that's the new one, and we removed the valve cover from the new engine, and the engine looks pretty good from inside. The valve cover was broken because of the accident, and it had some holes here, and now we need to put the new valve cover, the old valve cover from the old engine, on the new one, and then we can put everything back together and put it in the car. Okay guys, we have a huge problem with the engine. We just tried to turn the engine over to remove the bolts for the torque converter, but the engine won't turn, and I'm gonna show you. So the problem is, we tried to turn the engine over to remove the bolts here for the torque converter, because you need to turn the engine over and then you can unbolt the torque converter, and the engine just won't turn over. I tried to turn the engine. Look at this. It turns and it then just stops. So we already removed the oil pan to see if we can see anything what's wrong with the engine, but there is nothing. And yeah, now we don't know what to do, because first we thought there may be water in the engine, but we removed the injectors and there's nothing. It's completely dry, and we still can't turn the engine. So there must be something going on with this. Okay guys, I think we found the problem, and I'm gonna show you. Okay, you see the vacuum pump is dented over here, and I noticed this crack right here from the vacuum pump. And also when we turn the engine, there is coming sounds from the vacuum pump, like metal grinding, something like that. And now we're going to remove the vacuum pump, and then we will see. Okay. Yeah, look at this. This whole bracket is bent. This bracket needs to be like straight, and this is bent. Okay, now we need to try if the engine is turning, because that might be the problem. It's turning. Yes. Okay guys, the engine is good. It's turning over. I really thought the whole engine is gone, and now it's just the vacuum pump. Nice. Okay, we can use the vacuum pump from the old engine on this one, and then this engine should be fine. I think there's nothing else wrong with it. It also looks very clean from inside. And yeah, we're gonna start now to disassemble this engine, put everything on this, and then it goes back into the car. Alright guys, so it's a new day, and today we're gonna disassemble both engines and change the parts from one engine to another. And yeah, now we will find out if everything fits how I thought it will be, but I don't think so. Right, as you saw before, we already disassembled this engine, and one thing I noticed is this oil pump has the feet over here, and it just goes in like that. It's not bolted on, and it's bolted on over here and on the other side as well. And we need to change the oil pickup tube, because obviously we need to change the whole oil pan. And on the old engine, I thought we're just gonna change the pickup tube and it will be fine. But on the old engine, look at this. We have the oil pump here, and the pickup tube, it's bolted on directly into the oil pump, which means we are not able to change just the pickup tube, which means we need to change the whole oil pump. And now I have a problem. I don't know if the oil pumps are the same, because on the new engine the oil pump inside might be bigger, so it might do more, it might pump just more oil, you know. And that's issue number one that we are facing right now. Also, I've noticed on this side of the engine, so you can see this and this bolt, they're bolts in the bracket, the engine mount bracket, and I thought we're just gonna change the bracket. It's gonna be a bolt-on swap. That's the old bracket. But on this engine, as you can see, the bolts for the bracket are completely none. I mean, these two might gonna fit, but these two don't fit, and this one also doesn't fit. So that means we need to make a new engine mount bracket. On the other side, it looks kinda as it would fit, because we have one bolt here, one up here, and one down here. So it's 3 bolts. And on this side, it kinda looks the same, but I guess I need to unbolt this one and then try it on the new engine. And yeah, so that's already 2 problems. Then problem number 3, the whole timing chain cover, like the whole front cover of the engine is different, because you can see on this bracket, on this engine, the hydraulic pump for the steering, the steering hydraulic pump bolts on the front cover. Also the alternator sits down here, which bolts on also through the front cover onto the alternator bracket. On the new engine, it looks completely different here, because the alternator was bolted on right here, and down here there was the compressor for the climber for the AC. And yeah, that's the few problems that we're facing right now, but it's not that bad. We can make it work, I think. Need to weld a new engine bracket. That's the biggest problem right now, but yeah, we will make it work, no worries. And then obviously we need to change everything. Alright guys, it's already getting dark, and as you can see, I've packed the engines up, and that's it for today's episode. In the next video I'm gonna show you how we're gonna address all the problems that we have with the engines. And also today I received a new package. So I've got an upgrade intercooler for the E91, and there's gonna be a video soon for this. And yeah, I'm gonna upload another video next episode, and then we're gonna change all these parts from the engines and address all the problems that we have with the oil pump and stuff like this. So stay tuned for the next video. See ya.